source of information about watches. For the first video under the series Know the Watch Brand, we will be talking about the Glycine Watch Company. Glycine Watch Company is a Swiss watch manufacturer founded in 1914 by Mr. Eugene Mellan and is based in Bienne, Switzerland. Back then, Glycine was known for designing and manufacturing of small movements for the lady watches, and during the 1930s, Glycine launched their own self-winding watches and subsequently the chronometer watches. Glycine is famed for its Airman line of watches, which debuted in 1953. It features a 24-hour analog dial with rotating bezels and was favored by both military and commercial pilots due to its functionality. With the launch of the Airman in 1953, Glycine became a trendsetter in the use of a turning bezel for reading a second time zone. This in turn made Glycine a precursor in the development of a watch that could tell simultaneously different times, and resulted to the GMT watch as we all familiar with. And in 1954, Rolex combined a GMT movement and the bezel with 24-hour index in their GMT Master Reference 6542, aka the Pussy Galore. It was developed on the basis of a regular chronograph. Pussy Galore was a nickname and a fictional character in the James Bond novel Goldfinger. Basically, it was born out of profession. It started in 1953 when Mr. Samuel Glure, a sales director of Monteur Altus, boarded a Thai Airways flight from Bangkok to Calcutta, and he was able to make his way to the cockpit and have a conversation with the captain. The captain brought up and explained him in detail what kind of watch pilots from all nations would be actually need. And according to the captain, this watch is not on the market. What the captain said on what he wanted, that it must be an automatic watch with a calendar function, 24-hour dial with centralized hour, minutes and seconds hands, with a rotating 24-hour bezel. After touching down in India, Mr. Samuel wrote a letter to his friend Mr. Charles Hertig, the one who took over Glycine in 1953, about the potential market for a dedicated pilot's watch. And after a few months, these specifications were turned into reality, and voila, the Airman was born. The Glycine Airman was considered a part of the journey of Mr. Pete Conrad during the Gemini 5 and Gemini 11 NASA space missions. Pete Conrad was considered as the third human being to step foot on the moon, the first being Mr. Neil Armstrong and the second Mr. Buzz Aldrin. And now, we will proceed to the review of one of the versions of the Glycine Airman, the Double 12. The Double 12 was the first Airman who got both the 12-scale index on the dial and on the bezel. That serves as a second time zone indication. The original Airman and its previous iterations had the 24-hour scale on both the dial and bezel. The Double 12 makes the watch more accessible for people who cannot get used to the 24-hour indication. But still, this modern iteration is considered true to form, and its key features are still there, like the additional crown at the 4 o'clock position used to lock the bezel in place. A patent by Glycine. The size of the Double 12 is quite modest at 40mm, without the crowns. It has 3 colorways upon release, the black, blue, and red dial, with the addition of the white one at a later part. The case thickness is measured at 12.4mm with a lug width of 22mm. The lug-to-lug width is measured at approximately 50mm. It has a scratch-resistant sapphire crystal both in front and at the back. It is powered by Glycine's GL224, which was a modified automatic movement of ETA 2824. The lume has a bluish-green color. The lume for the hour and the minute hand were quite good, but for the indices, the looms were considered weak, and it disappears immediately. The stock cuff leather strap given is a stiff one, and creases may form in the future. If if you are a daily wearer of the watch. You can change the stag strap given. It will greatly suit with the brown and any other color as well. The price for this watch upon release was at $1,625 US. However, you can get it on gray market like Joma Shop, for example, for around $300 US. A pretty good price considering the history, roots, and the specifications of the watch. Since 2016, the Glycine Watch Company was owned by Invicta Group. The alternatives. The first one is from Timex, the Timex Allied 3 GMT watch. The case size is measured at 43mm, which is quite big. It is powered by a quartz movement. Using the outer dial track and the unidirectional turning top ring, you can tell the current time in additional time zones. It is approximately around $200 at the time of release. The second one is from Victorinox, the Victorinox Infantry GMT watch. The case is measured at a decent 40mm, powered by a Swiss quartz movement. The price for this watch is around $400 to $500 US. And lastly is from Seiko, the Seiko Spartura Kinetic GMT watch. The case size is measured at 44mm. It is powered by a kinetic movement. Kinetic watches do tick like a quartz, but never needed a battery. Wrist motion charges a capacitor inside the watch as you move. The process is similar to an automatic watch. However, a fully charged Seiko Kinetic will run for about 6 months, rather than the 48 hours or so a mechanical watch will last on a full wind. The price for this watch is around $600 US. Thanks for watching another content here on TimeCheck Channel. Want to know more about watches? Subscribe here at TimeCheck Channel